Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Spoiler Force Podcast. You can find more episodes on any podcasting platform such as Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to follow Spoiler Force Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch.
This is Ming Chen. I love you, Ricky. I love Spoiler Force Podcast. Listen to it, everybody.
This is a FlowGasm Beats production.
All right, so this is episode 89 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest is someone I'm very excited to bring in, but before I do want to let you guys know that episodes 86 to 88 are uploaded. I just haven't made them public yet, so after this live episode, I'll get to working on that. That way you can listen to the previous episodes on all major podcasting platforms and watch it on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. But my guest this week is someone who is a content creator, gamer, actor, director, musician, a streamer. I'm trying to think of what else. Overall, great person. Let me just bring in Cloudie McDoom. Thank you for doing this, man.
No problem at all. No problem. Thanks for having me, man.
You know, like we were saying earlier, before we started recording, seeing you without your wigs is like seeing two different people. And I know you get that a lot. So how do you feel when you see your fans react to that?
I mean, it's no big deal. You know, it's I know it can go one way or the other. Like a lot of people, they know, hey, this is a guy in wigs. We understand he's a real dude behind that. And the other people probably are a little upset, low key. You know, they're like, hey, I'm expecting like Sora wigs or cloud hair, forgetting that black people don't naturally grow hair like that. So, you know, I kind of have to bring them back down to reality. So this is Cloudie underneath all that stuff. This is the creator of all that randomness. So yeah, I'm bald.
No, that's cool, man. That's everyone's rocking the bald look nowadays, man.
It does make it easier to put all my wigs and stuff on. I will say that, like the transition from like whatever to whatever, it's a quick. So
do you feel like you switched to characters pretty well with the different wigs?
Yeah, it's instantaneous. I'm not telling people to like shave their heads, but I'm saying for me, like, having no hair, it makes it a lot easier.
Now, I think was it last week? You recently went to a convention. How was that?
Wow, that was awesome. That was South Carolina Comic-Con. So let me explain how I got roped into that. So you know the game Red Dead Redemption 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the main protagonist, Arthur Morgan, Roger Clark is the actor who plays him. And me and him are pretty cool now. So because I've done a lot of skits and what have you. So he invited me like out there. He's like, hey, I'll give you a free pass. Just come hang out with me, come. And I went. And it was weird. It was like, it was a familiar feeling. Almost like 2020 never happened, but it was still like weird. You know what I'm saying? It was weird, but I loved it.
Yeah, because usually when I do talk with guests about conventions, I know that with COVID still around, people are kind of iffy. Like for myself, as much as I wanted to go to DreamCon this year, I had to get my tickets refunded. But for you, I saw, like, just based on the video that you shared with your Sora walking around and running around, people were wearing masks, but was the regulations there pretty solid too?
Yeah, because I would say 99.9% of the crowd was wearing masks. I mean, obviously a handful of people weren't. And for certain parts, when I was walking around, I didn't have a mask on for like my Tommy Vercetti skits. But other than that, everyone respected the code. Like they all had the mask on and whatnot. And, you know, you have to remember too, like, I know COVID can spread with ease, but no one was actively going up and like coughing on people or, you know, just being douchebags. Like no one was doing that, you know? So like, I feel like keeping your mouth shut and just walking past people was okay. You know what I'm saying? So it was fine. Like I feel fine. I even got my first shot recently, so I'm good.
And the lines were pretty well handled as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we got there, it was kind of late in the day. But as soon as we got there, we just went straight in. And kind of, it was really crowded though. It was really, really crowded. And that's what I kind of liked. Like you could tell people were like stir crazy.
Yeah, I for one miss conventions a lot. Just missing the atmosphere there and seeing people there. But I think it's cool. Like just like you were showing before, like just seeing how conventions are kind of coming back again. Hopefully things will get better later on this year. I know a lot of conventions that are actually during this season are pushed back to this late summer or even in the fall. Like I know I heard from what I heard, New York Comic Con's being pushed back as well, or even some conventions are going virtual again.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, I understand. Better safe than sorry. You know, I would never sit here and be like, oh man, all cons need to open back up because it's still Rona's still out there. Like she's still running around, so gotta be careful.
So since we are live, I do want to show some comments as well. And Cloudie, you can see them as well on your end. We have Otaku Detroit with us right now. So they mentioned, so shave your head for easier cosplay. I'm pretty sure that's Terry. Shout out to Terry for commenting.
Appreciate that. I'm just saying, you know, it's again like it, and obviously if I had hair, I would flaunt it like naturally, but I don't, so I make it work. But nah, man, like I have fun with this stuff regardless. Like it's just what I love to do. But yeah, I miss cons, and I hope they come back in full force pretty soon.
Now, I first discovered your content through like it wasn't even through TikTok. I mean, it was a variation of TikTok, but it was compilations of it through like Facebook algorithms and stuff like that. So I had a buddy, Van Brook, shout out to Van. He tagged me in one of your videos where you did the Final Fantasy boss battle. And through that, I just went through this rabbit hole of just finding your content. And I think one of the videos that really, I guess, stood out to me was your Final Fantasy VII one, where you're talking about your childhood and how you felt alone and connected with Final Fantasy VII. And so I really relate to that too, because for me, my game was Final Fantasy X. I'm a big 10 fan. Yeah, so I really respect what you've done with your platform, and you also talk about a lot of mental health awareness and talk about content creating and just doing what you're doing. So I think one of the things I want to ask you, like, a topic that you kind of bring up sometimes is just being an older content creator and just feeling like, you know, this is something that you should do and don't be afraid to do it. So was creating content right now, was this something that was a hard choice for you then, or was it something that you always wanted to do?
I wouldn't say a hard choice in the sense of like I sat in my room like pondering like, okay, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? It's like it's one of those things that just comes naturally to you. Like it's like if you're a singer, you naturally sing songs in the shower, when you're walking to work or whatever. It comes out of you regardless of whether you want it to or not. So with content creation, I was already doing this stuff for years. What people don't know, which they probably do by now, because I've mentioned this in like every podcast I've done, is that I used to be a cosplay videographer. Like that was it. If you look up Akio Boy on YouTube, you'll see like all these cosplay videos that I used to film and edit. And that's where I got like my start in the cosplay world. But I didn't get from behind the camera until like maybe 2016, 17. And then really took it seriously in 2018. And that's when I just said, you know what? I know I'm older than a lot of people, like I'm in my 30s or whatever, but like I want to entertain people. You know, I want to show them the guy behind the camera. So I started buying wigs and putting the, you know, hats and stuff on and just filming myself on my phone and put it together. And, you know, it took it a minute, but it kind of started to just pick up. And I think the more absurd it became, even to myself, the more entertaining it was. Like, here's the reality. I'm gonna give everybody the reality. I'm not a little Japanese kid swinging a keyblade. I'm a grown ass black dude with like some shaggy wig and like some swim trunks on. Like, I'm having fun with it, you know. Like, I think that's why everyone gravitates to it so much, because they're like, this is weird, but it somehow works. But as far as being older, like, I think everyone struggles with that, especially when you do get up there in age and like you like childish things. You always think in the back of your mind, like, I wonder what other people my age are thinking about me, or I wonder what my parents or family or whatever, how they view me. You know what I'm saying? So it's a constant battle, but I push through it just like the games. So here I am on your podcast.
I really relate to that as well, because like I'm not 30 yet, but then, you know, just starting podcasting or even just pondering on content creation and in my late 20s right now, it does feel like you're kind of lagging or behind, because like a lot of these online sensations are younger every time that they come up. You know, the TikTokers, you know, back when Vine was starting, everyone's just like young and coming up, and yeah, you know, it's and then so like I'm not even on TikTok. So I watch the videos, but I can't see myself just out there dancing in the street or something.
Oh man, you have to psych yourself up for it. I'll actually tell you this. I hated TikTok. And I've told this story before. I hated TikTok. Like my girlfriend, shout out to Pandonia, she's a cosplayer and makeup artist. We'd be in bed just chilling, not doing the do, like just chilling. And she'd be like scrolling through TikToks nonstop, just like, here, watch this, watch this, watch this. And I'm like, babe, come on, man. Like, I don't care about that. Like, I let the kids have fun. I don't. And then out of nowhere, like I did a random TikTok of Sora swinging a Keyblade in the backyard, and that blew up. And that's when like my TikTok just started blowing up for no reason. So it was like, well, I got to do it now. Like I have to, even though I'm older than half the people on here, or actually 80% of the people on here, I got to do it. So that's how that's
the plus side to like these new platforms though, because once you find a niche, it goes quick. I've seen some people on TikTok go from like 0 to 200,000 followers within the span of a month. And it's insane. Like they just found something like how you did with the Sora swinging the Keyblade, something simple like that. And they just went up, and next thing you know, they're getting deals and all their other platforms are blowing up with it.
Yeah. So I figured once I actually did do that, I was like, you know what, this is a good advertisement tool. You know, like I can't knock it forever because obviously people are there. It's a lot of traffic. And I think for me, the only difficulty I have is that I have a very big imagination. So like, it's hard for me to just stay as one character for like my whole TikTok couldn't be like Sora videos across the board. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's impossible. So like, I know if I did hone in on something like that, it might blow up faster, but I want to show people that I'm like a versatile, like entertainer, you know? So I do a lot of things.
Since we're on the topic of Sora though, are you a bigger Kingdom Hearts fan or Final Fantasy fan?
Final Fantasy, definitely.
Yeah, because I know you put out more Sora content, and just, you know, for me, I wore this Kingdom Hearts shirt for this episode. Yeah, just I like your Sora videos because you implement the Final Fantasy characters with it, like your Sephiroth, which is one of my favorite ones that you've done. And I love the comments on it though. They're like, Cloudie pulls off that Sephiroth so well, you know, and just the Cloud with the huge Buster Sword. And recently you got the Brotherhood sword too from Final Fantasy X, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. You know, here's the thing. I love Kingdom Hearts. Don't get it twisted. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, well, whatever about that game. Like, I love it. It's just FF, as you mentioned earlier, it has more of a tie to my heart in childhood because, like, I grew up playing those. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Kingdom Hearts is more like that fun little brother or sister. It's like, hey, you know what? You're cool. We'll hang out, whatever. But Final Fantasy is like that's the rock. You know, that's.
So I guess you can say then 7 is your favorite then out of this franchise.
Okay, so you know what's funny? I love 7, but I'm actually kind of 9 is my absolute favorite. It would go 9, then FF7 remake, then 10, then 7. I know that's kind of weird since I do so many Cloud cosplays, but yeah.
Okay, I wasn't expecting you to say the remake for your second favorite. What was because I heard so many mixed reviews on this game, right? I even spoke with Final Fantasy Union. They're another Final Fantasy podcast about their thoughts on this game, and a lot of people, for at least who I know, were upset with the whole retcon thing at the end. You know, with Zack coming back, and now there's a huge like toss up now. Is Nobuo Uematsu? Or not Nobuo Uematsu, is what's the creator? I thought of the musician of what's his name?
Tetsuya, I think. Not Nomura.
Yeah, Tetsuya Nomura. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. What is Nomura gonna do? Because he has this interesting thing with timelines. You know, you can see in his work with Kingdom Hearts. You can see it with what he wanted to do originally with Final Fantasy 15. And it's I don't know, fans are like just waiting for it, but then he's not giving anyone any answers either. So what were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, all right, so the reason I'll hit it with two-part answer. My first answer is I loved FF7 remake because of how much good, like how strong it was in terms of like how it referenced the original. You know what I'm saying? Like it took it, but it obviously expanded on some parts, like it added extra little, you know, it did world expansion, you know, because it's a bigger game, bigger platform. Obviously, a lot more they can actually do and develop. So I liked that aspect of it. And the graphics, of course. I'm a sucker for graphics. But I also kind of liked that it was doing its own like variation, because you got to remember, it's easy to say, okay, we're going to remake this game 100%. We're going to make it exactly how the first one was, no changes. But then you'd be like, oh, well, I know, spoiler alert, Aerith is going to die. I know she's going to get in the chest. So it's like, I feel like he's doing this to where you don't know what's coming, because now they can alter everything. Like literally, you know, Zach could be here just to die again. Like he could probably be here to like sacrifice himself. You know, Aerith might even do a thing where she's like, I'm not going to die against Sephiroth here, but I have to die at some point for the sake of the story. So I'm eager to see what they do with it. But I think it's going to be boss regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be good.
Yeah, a lot of viewer, or I guess reviewers were also saying like this could be a multiple universe kind of thing, like a multiverse ordeal. Because even the cast for the remake game, they all switched it. Originally, they had the original English voice actors from like the movies or like the Kingdom Hearts game, but then now it's a different cast. So I'm thinking that maybe because if for anyone who's watching or listening, if you haven't played the game yet, then this is just major spoilers. So just like the game itself, like with Aerith being tied to, I guess, with Zach's part at the end and with Cloud, a lot of folks are theorizing that maybe Aerith is from the original timeline and that she can see, because of her lineage, she can see everything else along with Sephiroth. And they're saying that maybe this version of Cloud isn't the one that we played with in the original game. And even with this new expansion that they added with the DLC with Yuffie, they even showed Weiss from Dirge of Cerberus pretty early. Have you seen that trailer?
Yeah, I did, but I haven't played Dirge of Cerberus. But I did read up on it. Like I saw who he was. So
yeah, I played Dirge of Cerberus. I think I was still in middle school. That's like one of the last PS2 games I played. I played the hell out of that game. But yeah, it's just with the 7 lore, there's just so much that that there's like possibilities with this game. I was thinking like maybe it could be like a Into the Spider-Verse kind of thing where you see like original Cloud, Advanced Children Cloud, or remake Cloud all together pointing at each other like Spider-Man, you know?
I mean, it could. I mean, because even when Sephiroth showed up at the end of I call it a demo, because it's basically, let's call it what it is. FF7 Remake was a long ass demo. This one. But when he showed up at the end, it's like he already knew, okay, this is how you guys killed me back in 1997 on the original. It's not going down like that this time. So we're gonna do something different. So like it could go anyway. Like they're gonna introduce new random characters, just like the guy at Corneo's mansion. That was upset because Corneo did something or other to him, but like they're gonna have those characters in the mix. Even that soldier, the other soldier that has I don't know if he has a Buster Sword. He has a bike and a
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't like. I think he had like pretty bad responses from the audience though, because like he was just there and out.
Yeah, they're gonna do more of that. I already know that they're gonna have random sprinkle in that don't affect the main story as far as we know, but we'll see. So,
but you like the game overall? I like because you ranked it pretty high. So, you know, with Final Fantasy though making this huge comeback with 7 and with the PS5 too, like they even with the PlayStation Network, I think they're adding on the DLC. I don't want to be say something wrong, but I know the PS4 version and PS5 version are two different. Like it's almost like two completely different games, because like I guess just on visuals, and then like with the new DLC with Yuffie and with the trailer Weiss. And since we're on this topic as well, with Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy being a thing, with Kingdom Hearts 3, did you not like the fact that there was no Final Fantasy characters in there? Or at least from what I saw, I haven't played the game.
It's weird because like I did this whole like Kingdom Hearts marathon thing where I streamed every Kingdom Hearts leading up to 3 because I didn't want to play 3 without delving into those. So yeah, I did get accustomed to seeing all the FF characters, but at the same time, I was just excited to play 3. So it definitely felt more like a Disney interactive theme park. And what I mean is like all the moves were like, hey, come to Disney World and ride the water rides and roller coasters and stuff. So it definitely felt like a really fun Disney game. It felt less like, hey, this is fantasy driven, and more like, hey, this is every Disney thing that you're familiar with. But I still dug it. Like, it was fun, like it was a fun game. We all had fun streaming it, so.
That's great. I again, with the timelines with Kingdom Hearts, that's why I stopped playing it, because there was just so much continuity with this game. I think the last Kingdom Hearts game I played was probably part 2 before the remixes. Like, because I remember when 2 was still on the PS2, and like when YouTube was still new to on the internet, like they would release like a lot of these trailers and the final mixes that Japan had, and same with Final Fantasy 2. Japan had all these final remixes or like these new edition games. We're just sitting here in America waiting for it to come, and like 10-15 years later we finally get it.
Like Keyblade Wars. I was like, once I found out there were so many other Kingdom Hearts games, I was like, Jesus, like all this, like we were the 3 back in like, I don't know, 2008 or 9 maybe, I don't know, but it was, they knew how to milk the franchise. They're very good.
Oh my god! Like just even the whole 2.6, 2.8 type thing. Oh my god! Like, every year they just kept adding a little bit more. Like, just release the whole thing, and then they did it. And they did it again. They just released the whole thing together.
Once your game titles start getting decimal points, you're far gone. Like you are. That's way too much. That's way like that's like Final Fantasy VII Remake 0.2. 0.5, like that'd be too much, man. But they're gonna do it. I guarantee you.
Hell yeah.
They're gonna milk this because they know everyone wants to play FF7 Remake. So they're gonna have like episode Yuffie, episode insert random character, episode Barrett. Like it's gonna be a lot.
They're already doing that with like they have this like Fortnite variation of the soldier game. Like they had a demo that was released out. And then there's also the mobile game where like you can play like I guess mini versions of all the various games.
Yeah.
And there's all of that, and I don't know, man. Square Enix, whatever they're doing, they are milking. Like I said, they are milking their franchises.
Money wise, they're smart. They know, like, hey, you're about to pay up, all you Square Enix fans. You're gonna give it up.
So how long do you think it's gonna take for a part 2 though for the remake?
Well, I know, or when I say no, I've heard that they're working hard on FF16. I don't know if it's 2 different like departments or whatever that are actually focused on the games, but it seems like they might put more energy into getting 16 out, and then 7 part 2 would be like, I don't know, 20, 23 or 4 or something. Who knows? At this rate, I don't even.
They're just gonna. I have a feeling they're just gonna give you half the game and then just a bunch of like the typical DLCs.
Kingdom Hearts probably was like trying to teach us a lesson. Like, look, I know what you want, but here's what you're gonna get. So don't expect a bunch of like FF7 remake DLC, which they might make it so good that every installment has its own like appeal about it, because I know with Yuffie's, which I don't have a PS5, I'm just gonna put that out there. But I know hers will probably be a really unique gaming experience, like to her character. Like surely they wouldn't just copy and paste FF7 remake and just let you run around the same level. Surely not. Like, because here's the thing, I'm gonna say this: Kingdom Hearts Remind DLC pissed me off. My fan base knows this. The night I was streaming it, because let me explain. I beat Kingdom Hearts 3 on like a Wednesday or Thursday, right? Bought the Remind DLC, played it, and the ending it's like identical. Like you're doing the exact same stuff for like 30, 45 minutes, and then you get to like the final boss, like Super Ansem or Super whatever, whoever it was. I can't remember. Spoiler alert. I just remember I was pissed. I was like, this is 45 minutes of like wasted time because I just did this last night. I just had to get it off my chest.
Yeah, that's why I stopped playing Kingdom Hearts. There's just too much of the same thing, and like all the characters started to look alike. Like I went to the orchestra for Kingdom Hearts a few years ago, and my mom was with me too. Like she wanted to go to the Fox Theater in Detroit, so we went, and she's like, "How come they all look alike?" Just like they're all different characters, but she was like, "No, they all look the same."
There's a spine staple for role-playing games now, especially Square Enix. You gotta have crazy elaborate hair. You gotta be androgynous as hell. Like those 2 things are a must. Like that is a must. Like I don't care what it is, and you gotta show up there doing all the and a lot of hand gestures. Like Kingdom Hearts is big on a lot of this. A lot of hand gestures. Everyone knows this.
Oh yeah, I've seen that in your video with the Sora like doing this,
All that, yeah.
the over exaggeration.
Spirit fingers, all that.
Do you want to start your own podcast? Then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users to begin their podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, you can effectively get your podcast onto many platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout also offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and also support Spoiler Force Podcast. Happy podcasting. If you're into anime, manga, or anything that's from Japan, Otaku Detroit is the place for you. Located at 513 West, 11 Mile Road in Madison Heights, Michigan, you can find a variety of manga books, anime figures, collectibles, posters, snacks, and even authentic items from Japan. Stop on by to see store owner Matt and let him know Spoiler Force sent you. Now, I kind of want to bring this back to you now. For the viewers who don't know you, Cloudie, how did you come up with the name Cloudie McDoom? I know you made a post recently, kind of explaining that a little bit, but I wanted you to explain to the listeners as well, like because I originally thought that your name came from just liking Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it's an elaborate, like, so here's the thing I gotta tell my viewers, or not my viewers, but like people out there, is that, you know, I'm a very weird individual. So like my mind goes like miles and miles in the rainbow fantasy land, and it comes back and it's a lot of confusion. But basically, when I came up with the name Cloudie McDoom, it was actually on a family vacation. My dad was dying back in like 2016. So we did like one last vacation with him. And this is a random story. So I'll get to the Final Fantasy tie-in in a second. But like, I remember he could barely get around, right? Like he's frumping around, and he laid down on the couch, and I'm sitting there in the living room too, chilling. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, when I get back home, I need to like rebrand my other name I had, which I'm not gonna say it here, but like I had another name before Cloudie McDoom. And I don't know why the name just popped in my head. Why then and why there? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a really random place for it to happen. Because it was almost Cloudie McBoom with a B, but I just put Doom and I kind of roll with that. But taking it at face value, yeah, it is definitely a tie-in to my love for Final Fantasy and like Cloud Strife and things like that. So let's just go with the more G-rated answer. My name is my love for Final Fantasy, and I'm definitely thinking on a subconscious level that was like pretty much the inspiration for it. So I'm just telling you when it actually came about, what I was doing. So
hey, but I'm just glad it stuck. It's a very standout name, you know. So definitely, if anyone mentions like Cloudie McDoom, bam, they know who it is. It's not like someone that's, you know, it's not like a lot of these similar characters or similar content creators with similar names and stuff like that. And that's like for my brand as well, was Spoiler Force. You know, like I originally wanted to just do reviews, and then by the time I knew it, I was just like doing stuff like with guests and talking about other random things. And you know, for the listeners who don't know, Spoiler Force was I made the name was because I had a friend who kept telling me to stop spoiling stuff on Facebook, which I did stop doing that. But then, you know, and then with the Force part, I love the Flash, so you know, the Speed Force and all that stuff. So I added that into it. Bam, here's my brand. So you know, it's a lot of these inspirations from like pop culture and comic books and games, man. Like you can get a lot of that from something like that's supposedly child stuff.
that, man. Matter of fact, you actually bring a strong point. I'm gonna stop telling people that story about like where the name came about. I'm just gonna tell them like, hey, I love Final Fantasy and RPGs. Cloudie McDoom. There it is. Like I know there's deeper meaning for it internally, but I don't want to give like this long-winded like other like mental stuff with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna keep it simple and roll with it, you know?
I kind of wanted to bring this up since you brought up I guess mental, right? You talk about mental health and just I've seen I know you do Cameo too. I thought that I saw your preview that you did for one of your Cameo fans and talk about like just you know, being more positive. I think a lot of your content does concentrate on that. So are you pretty much advocate for a lot of mental health as well on your platform?
Yeah, big time. Because what people, and they probably know by this point, like I go through it a lot in the sense of when I'm up, and then when I'm down, like I'm down, you know. So I try to definitely be transparent with my fan base, just because I know a lot of people out there struggle with it, and I don't want to be one of those creators or influencers, whatever you want to call it, that has to put on this mask 100% of the time, where it's like I'm happy all the time doing this vlog. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be real, like I want to be approachable.
Very authentic.
Yeah, to where like, look, we all struggle with it. Like I'm a creative too, so like, it gets intense for me sometimes, and it's obviously I don't go to therapy or anything like that. I probably should, but I don't. But no, I just want people to know that like it's gonna be okay. You definitely need to talk to people. If you're a creator, create as much as you can, because every time I do put something out there, I do feel better. Whether it's something sad, whether it's something funny, random. Like I'm putting it out there so I feel better internally, because I know I had it rough. This was last summer, I think. I had to quit social media for like a month because a good friend of mine named Ashley, she had passed away. And it was that combined with just like a lot of internal issues I was having mentally, not like body wise, but like I had to quit for a month. So when I came back, I made a skit about it called Heart of Darkness on my channel. And like, obviously it's one of the most depressing skits I've ever done in my life, like across the board. It has a strong message, but it's very like I had to go somewhere deep to put it out there. You know what I'm saying? So I was definitely vulnerable. It's like I opened myself up to ridicule, I opened myself up to embarrassment. But it seemed necessary because someone's gonna need it. After I'm dead and gone too, someone's gonna look at that and be like, oh wait, like he gets it or he got it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing a lot of creatives have in common as well. Like, it's not just the whole putting up content, but it's a lot of the setbacks of like you were mentioning about, is this going to be good, or just the pressure of like trying to put out content consistently. Because for myself as well with the podcast episodes, I just this year I recently went through something personal at home as well, and it's been tough to try to be positive all the time and trying to like everything's okay in my end when it's not. And I like that with your content, because one of your skits that you did, again, I guess it was your YouTube video, the one with Xehanort, and talking about how Cloudie is getting too old, and he has to go to work. And I like that one. I like that twist to it. It was cool with the fighting and stuff. And then when you hear your Xehanort start talking about like I'm just trying to protect Cloudie from getting hurt, so he has to be normal again. So I really like that skit, and how you brought up that there's a lot of deeper meanings in your skits, and I definitely can see where you draw that from.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely because even with that one, so like it was a made up character, definitely looks just like Xehanort from like Kingdom Hearts 2. It's technically my nobody named Cloudie. So like in the Kingdom Hearts lore, like basically if someone's a nobody, their name is like a rearranged version of like Sora is, Roxas is the Sora. Like you take the name Sora and just mix the letters around, throw X in the mix. So Cloudie was my nobody basically. And like you said, the whole idea was that he doesn't like seeing me do these childish like Sora skits and all this other crap, like in his eyes. Cause it's like, wait, he needs to balance out. He needs to do more adult things. Like he needs to end all of this stuff. Even somewhere in that skit is pretty meta. He's like, look, I don't even want to exist. Like, cause even me being a part of this, like, stuff we're doing is immature. Like I need to get rid of this Sora character, then myself, so he can like focus on being a real adult. So yeah, a lot of people really dug that skit. I'm glad you mentioned that one, man, because that was definitely my internal struggles personified.
Oh yeah, like I said, man, your skits have a lot of deep meaning, and definitely just watching them through, like kind of like just marathoning through it. I'm like, okay, so Cloudie's got some mixed messages, or not mixed messages, but like deeper messages. Like even with your Final Fantasy ones where you're running around in the forest and just being lost, and after losing to the algorithm and stuff like that.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you a secret, right? All right, so, or not secret, it's just like behind the scenes info. So the first skit I did, the Final Fantasy battle, like the lead up to it, when they run up to the algorithm, he comes out as a mask and he's talking to him, like that was all a joke. 100% just like Final Fantasy battles. And that was it. Like I didn't even show the battle. So then everyone was like, oh, make a battle. So then I made the battle skit, the one you mentioned early on, the elaborate algorithm fight, the menus and all that. So like he was still a joke then, but then I was like, wait, this has a little bit of weight to it. So then I took the Radicus character and I was like, what would he be dealing with after losing to something so unwinnable? So then like I took my own personal experiences and kind of put those into this episode Radicus part 1 through 3. And that's when it got like dark, like not only visually, but just emotionally, like it just gets like, I wanted to feel like an elevator of sadness. So like,
yeah, it was depressing, man. Like
Yeah.
even like just the environment, like how you shot it with the color schemes and all that, you could definitely feel that weight of like just man, this is pretty depressing.
I definitely want to feel like that because I know in part 3 of the battle, when I actually release it, I'm gonna do a quick plug. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel to 50K subscribers because then I can release the algorithm battle part 3. But anyway, when he comes back, I'm not gonna spoil anything, even though Spoiler Force is the podcast. Radicus is gonna be ridiculous. Like just the way I'm gonna film that and like the way it plays out, it's gonna be a huge contrast to those depressing episodes, and hopefully empower people just how I'm gonna do it. So
I'm excited for that, man. And definitely for those of you who are watching, subscribe to Cloudie McDoom. The link should be in the Facebook description. If not, I'll post it up as well. Help him get to 50K so we can watch part 3 because I want to watch it right now.
I appreciate it.
I want to talk about this, man, because like the algorithm, how is that like just acting behind the green screen and like just physically portraying the algorithm, you know?
Oh my, how do I do it?
Yeah.
Oh man, like so what I did was anytime I do a character, regardless of the game or movie or whatever it's pulled from, I try to embody their essence. You know, like so I thought about a really annoying boss in Final Fantasy X, which was Seymour, because Seymour, when that dude comes back 20,000 times, like you have to fight Seymour. He's ready to fight every step of the way. You kill him once, he's like, actually, what of it? Kill him again. What I meant was, what of it? So I took that personality from Seymour. You know, he's very, I don't know what word you use, but very extra.
I would say, yeah, exactly.
So like when I was doing the algorithm, I throw on my little wig or whatever, and I was like, I gotta be naked, but I'm not actually naked. Like I'm wearing boxers, but like I gotta be this entity. So I do a lot of like this stuff. So it's just like very proper, but very insulting. Like your image quality insults me, like just crazy, like stuff like that. And then I put like a voice effect on me, so it sounds more like kind of robotic, but human. So it adds that extra fantasy. But everyone loves the algorithms like phrases because they're so condescending but intelligent.
Oh no, man, I absolutely loved it. It definitely had the Final Fantasy X feel, like immediately with that battle music too, and just the way how you did your one-liners, man. It was like typical bosses, you know, like you're not gonna beat me, da da da. You know, it's very just straightforward.
That which everyone, what was okay? Allow me to demonstrate that which everyone craves, and then like all there's always more, and it's just ridiculous, man. Like I love it.
Man, I'm excited for part 3. I can't wait to see you release that for sure because I really liked how you made it look so simple, you know, in the videos. But then it really stands out. Like you did it just like a Final Fantasy game with the menus and the sound effects and all the summons and all that. So it was really cool to see that.
Let me tell you this. I know it looks simple, but the editing on that thing, bro. Like all right. So I'm gonna tell you guys this. So like, when you're doing a Final Fantasy skit like that, you got to remember it's all filmed. It's not like a game with 3D models and renders and stuff like that. So it's anything I do physically, I have to film myself doing it, you know, whether it's getting hurt, jumping, slashing, run, like any of that stuff. I have to film all that, green screen, and then I have to take it all, put it in there, and sequence it in such a way that it actually like lines up correctly. Like it took a hot minute. That's why I feel like it's fair if I wait till I get to 50K subscribers, because then I can wait a little longer. I have to do all that again because I got to refilm every bit of that because they all got new weapons in the final version. Like everyone has their maximum level weapons. So yeah,
you don't film all that in like at home, do you?
Yeah, I have a green screen.
So you're just standing in front of the green screen, jumping around.
Yes, like
oh man,
put the phone up, stand in front of the green screen, pop, 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 pop. Take it to the computer room and just like go to town.
Now, has there been any experiences where you were filming? I know you do some like outside skits, but was there any like experiences where people kind of just like looked at you guys really weird and all dressed up like that?
Yeah. All right. So what's funny is, so I play every character. So like every character you see on my stuff that's green screen, just me with different wigs. But like, yeah, I've been in the backyard before, and I think I was doing a Sora thing. I was doing the Sora run. And I looked across the yard, and it was there was somebody cutting grass, and they were just kind of looking. And I was just like, and then they just went back to cutting grass, and I came back inside. Yeah, I've been caught a couple times. It's been interesting, but no one stopped to like come over here and say anything. They just kind of look and keep going.
And I think that like just interactions of that is just pretty not awkward, but I think it would be hard to like see your neighbor do that and just like, so what are you doing?
I know, man. I feel like everyone on my street that see me, they probably think like that's that weirdo that lives at that house. Like, he's questionable. We'll never have our kids walk past his house. But man, I love doing it. I love entertaining. So I just you have to just kind of bite the bullet with stuff like that. You know, people are gonna look at you like. Now, mind you, I still check the window to see if anyone's like out in the backyard. But if I get caught, because sometimes I'll be way out in the middle of the yard, and if I get caught, it's like whatever. It's my house. I pay the mortgage here. Like it's my house. I'm gonna do what I want.
Have you thought about I guess collaborating with other content creators as well, or like
Actually, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, because there's guys like RDC or Caleb City who are into like the whole anime gaming type genre as well, and they do a lot of the skits. So I think that'd be pretty cool to see you try to collaborate with those guys as well.
Oh, man. I would love to, man. Like I feel like, and I'm gonna put myself in their shoes because they probably get a ton of messages from people like, "Yo, man, I love your stuff. I would love to collaborate. I'm a content creator too." So they probably obviously can't work with every single person. So I feel like I'll have to reach a certain level of like, I say fame, but a certain level where people are familiar with my content, and then it just happens across their radar. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like they're looking online like, "Oh man, I saw this video that blew up. Who is this? Cloudie McDoom? Cool, let's maybe work with him." It'd have to be one of those organic situations. That's just my take on it. But that's how it happened with Uncle Choco. He's the black dude that does he has like the cowboy hat, the mustache.
Yeah, okay.
He does the thrusters.
Yeah.
That's how that happened. Like he found me on Instagram, and like mind you, he's been doing like TV, like he's been on TV commercials, worked with like the Black Eyed Peas on a music video. Like he's been doing all this stuff, but he saw my content and reached out to me. So he was like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna fly you out here to Texas. We're gonna do some stuff." And that was back in February. So that's kind of how that happened organically. Like I never blew up his inbox like, "Yo, man, I make content, dog. Put in your videos up." Like it just kind of happens naturally. So I kind of like that aspect. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, definitely. Organically working with someone is definitely there's like a more genuine feeling because there's interest in that.
Yeah, exactly. And I recently worked with Marlon Webb. He's done he blew up on Vine several years ago, but now he's just like on Instagram, YouTube, and stuff. But he does like really, really out there content, but it's cool, like it's funny. So I went out to California to hang with him recently, and we did some stuff. So
was that the clone video that you did?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's Marlon Webb. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that one was pretty twisted. I up until that ending.
Yeah. Cause like that's his brand of humor though. Like his stuff is more on the like cause he loves horror movies and stuff too. So his is more gritty. Like he'll have a skit where it's totally normal, and then it just goes 180 within 2 seconds. Like it's. So I was like, I gotta match that energy playing this skit. The clone idea was my idea, but like I knew at the end he was like, "Hey, why don't we have you like bury me out here in the desert?" I was like, okay. Because originally I think we were just gonna like goof around and that was gonna be the end of the skit, but he's like, "Nah, you gotta take me out." So yeah.
Now, for your content, do you plan to, I guess, expand more or do something different as well instead of just being, the Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts kind of genre?
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll give a quick I don't want to say history lesson. That sounds pretentious, but back before I did Kingdom Hearts, I was big on Red Dead Redemption 2. That's just how Roger Clark discovered me. I had like 80 something skits I had done of Red Dead Redemption 2, but those popped off on Instagram. not necessarily on YouTube. So now that I have an actual YouTube fan base or platform, I'm slowly re-uploading those because that's what people knew me for. Like if you met me in 2018, you wouldn't like be talking about Kingdom Hearts. You'd be like, oh, you're the Red Dead guy, you know, like you're the Artie Mack guy. Like,
so that character came first before everyone else. Then your
yeah,
Artie
Artie
character.
Mack, that's the funny thing about the Final Fantasy Battle Skit, the cowboy guy, the beard. That's my Red Dead Redemption 2 guy that was already famous on Instagram before the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy stuff. I just brought him in to pay homage to my original fan base, you know? So it's like bringing those two fan bases kind of together.
That's awesome, man. Because like I was always curious, like how you would. I know you already explained how you created Artie Mack, but like when I first saw him, I was like, man, it seems like he's really comfortable with this character. You know, you got the accent down and, and like the whole persona going on.
I definitely had practice with that, man. Like I pride myself too on making sure every character I do, you can distinguish from the other. Like you would never confuse Sephiroth with Artie Mack, you know, because I portray them, their mannerisms, obviously, because Sephiroth dance all the time. The voices, you know, just their whole demeanor. Like I try to, you know, even Sora, like he's very whimsical and jumpy, and you know what I'm saying. So
now, I guess, do you have any other future projects then that you're planning to work on? That at least you can something that you can maybe say. If not, that's fine.
Yeah. So as far as the video stuff goes, you know, obviously I still stream and whatnot. That's like my side chick. That's my side gig. I do that at night. But as far as the content on the channel, I'm probably gonna rework how I do things. So I might start doing less elaborate skits. Like let me put it this way. Like I had a talk with this big content creator I do stuff with named Kanigra, and she like her channel is exploding. Like she's everywhere. So she pretty much called me the other day and was like, hey, Cloudie, look, like I see you doing a lot of stuff, but you might want to post more simplified videos in between all your special Final Fantasy green screen effects and all that stuff, just because you want more content. And she almost acknowledged, like she could recognize I was burning myself out, because for me, if I did Final Fantasy skits as elaborate as the battle, like every day, like I'd die. Like
that's very time, like you said, with the editing, that's super time consuming.
Yeah. So she pretty much told me like I might need to start treating those like special treats, in a sense of do a couple of those every now and again, but just go ahead and work on more standard funny videos, like just me, or even with the wigs and stuff, but like doing something simple. And that's what I'm kind of trying to work on now, is simplified content in between all the big daddy projects, like the Final Fantasy Boss Part 3, because that's going to be a much longer video than the other one too, because you know all boss battles got to be like super long. So but yeah, I'm just working on just content here and there, just regular stuff.
Yeah, plus at the end, it helps you with all your cosplay ideas as well. Because I'm looking forward to see what other characters you have in store. If you're already like breaking down these characters, they're like just their mannerisms, demeanors, and just the not just internal, but like even just the outer look. I can't wait to see who else you have in store for your cosplays. Because I know in one of your links you have like this chest, or like your weaponry, or like your armory. Yeah. So definitely, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now, are there any other weapons you're trying to obtain for your characters?
Well, I will say right now, I put this on my Ko-fi. Like the Ko-fi goal is to get Cloud Stripe's actual armor. You know, like the pauldron, you know, the black, this ex-soldier suit. I'm trying to get that so I can actually complete the look, because that's been my childhood dream, to actually dress all the way up as Cloud. And I bought a costume of like the Advent Children, but it wasn't that great. That was years ago. So I want the OG or the FF7 remake version, but I'm going to get that. I'm going to actually post that later. And I'm going to do a Cloud versus Sephiroth, because I've done Sora versus Sephiroth, but I think I need to do a Cloud versus Sephiroth, you know, just to really bring it home. You know what I'm saying? So
that'll be perfect. Especially with like I know 7 just or not 7, but Square Enix, they released like the 4K version of Advent Children too. So seeing that boss battle would be pretty cool.
God mode.
We're coming towards an end here, Cloudie. So before we do wrap up, was there anything you'd like to say to fans or to viewers? Just something, just either encouraging or whatever's on the top of your head. Anything? Was there any last words you'd like to say?
Definitely. So I definitely want to say thank you to everybody out there who's engaged my content, because like we talked about earlier with the whole questioning like my age versus doing content and stuff, everyone's kind of reaffirmed me, like at the end of the day, I was going to do what I was going to do regardless, whether I look stupid or whatever. But it's nice to have a fan base. Shout out to the Squall. That's my fan base name, the Squall. Shout out to them for like holding me up, holding me down, holding me left, right, sideways, whatever, because I've needed that over this past like couple of years actually, so that's really, I really appreciate it. Even in the future, once I've hit like a huge number or whatever in terms of social media, like I'm always gonna remember like the beginning, when I had like 100 Instagram followers, right? And no one cared about the content, no one knew what I was, to now where a couple people know me, and it's a good feeling. So I just want to say a big thank you to the fan base. Thank you for letting me do this podcast. I really appreciate you shouting me out like that. That's really cool. So I'm just gonna keep rocking and rolling, man, and see what I can create, because I have, like I said, overactive imagination equals content for days. So I never know what's gonna come out, but I hope y'all vibe with it, whatever I put out there, And even if you don't, it'll be fun to be like, hey, you know what, Cloudie, that thing you did was kind of but this thing was okay. Like that Drake meme from like forever ago, where it's like the picture of him like like, that whole concept. So I'm down with that. Constructive criticism is cool.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you, Cloudie, for being on the podcast, man. I was geeking out, like, because you responded pretty quickly when I sent you the email, and so I was pretty geeked out. I was like, whoa, man! I just because like I said, I just discovered you not too long ago. So to have you respond so quickly and to be able to be on this podcast today, thank you for this opportunity, man. I really see potential in your content. I really hope to see you grow more and be up there with the other top tier content creators, because you got something going.
Oh, appreciate that, man. Definitely. Another reason I do answer the emails quick is because like I'm a very forgetful person when it comes to like I feel like I've done my taxes sadly, but like I'm a forgetful person in that regard. So I was like, oh, this just popped up. Reading it. Okay, let me go ahead and schedule this now so I don't like brush over or, you know what I'm saying? Like come off as a prick, like I didn't read it or something. So
no, man, again, just thank you for this opportunity, man. Because like you said, man, just when you look back at this kind of stuff, it's what keeps you not just motivated, but also humble too,
Feel that. So thank you, man.
All right, so we're coming to an end here, you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in or commented. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to Spoiler Force Podcast, and follow Cloudie. The links are in the links in the description for YouTube. I don't think it's on Twitch, but I'll definitely share more of the links as well. And then this will be on podcasting platforms and on YouTube, hopefully by Sunday night. And I'll tag you, Cloudie, for sure, so that way you can help share this too.
Bet. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. So again, this is episode 89. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe, and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you have any guest recommendations, comments, questions, concerns, or criticism, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com or message me online on any of my social media platforms. Want to listen to more pop culture themed podcasts? Then check out the Epic Sewers Podcast Network. There are shows like the Epic Tales from the Sewers, the Comic Watchers Show, What's in My Head Podcast, and Spoiler Force Podcast. Make sure to follow us each on social media and find us on any major podcasting platform. Thank you for the support.